You weren't the one she chose, not because you weren't enough, but because loyalty doesn't buy a place in a heart that was set on leaving. You stood there raw, like steel left out in the cold, sharp and unyielding but suddenly useless against the weight of absence. They told you loyalty would make you a priority, like your presence alone could carve out a space where you mattered. But loyalty? It's a silent wound you carry inside a world hungry for easy lies and louder distractions. You've been a ghost in the background, your steady flame mistaken for weakness, your quiet devotion dismissed as nothing worth fighting for. And that's what burns the deepest. Not the loss, but the betrayal of believing your constancy was enough. The truth you never admitted out loud is that being loyal doesn't make you chosen. It never did. The chains you feel aren't made of the moments you held on. It's the ones you failed to let go, because the hardest strength isn't holding fast to something breaking beneath you. It's knowing when to step back into silence, when to leave the echoes behind and find peace in the emptiness. This isn't about bitterness or blame. It's about waking up to the fact that your worth isn't tied to anyone's eyes, nor bound to the idea of loyalty that's never returned. You walked through that fire, loyal and unseen, but now it's time to meet your own cold midnight and stand in it, unflinching, unchained. The weight of loyalty isn't a cross you bear. It's the steel you forge to cut your own freedom loose. Because in the end, what really binds you isn't loyalty. It's the refusal to let yourself be anything less than unstoppable. You've been trained to crack open, to lay your soul bare like a wolf, announcing its hunger to a silent, cold moon. They tell you to be emotionally available, like it's some kind of badge. A beacon of progress in a world that used to value steel and silence more than softness and words. But what they never told you is the price you pay when you're open and exposed. You're met with silence. You're met with scorn. The loyalty you bleed out, the nights you stayed standing while others fell, all that grit turns into ghost dust, vanishing under eyes that look through you like you're already dead. Why does loyalty make us invisible? Why does the very thing you give your spirit to become the thing that erases you? If strength is in standing your ground, how have you become the man whose ground crumbles beneath his own feet? You're taught to be more loving, more available, softer with your words, open with your heart. But softness without armor leaves you exposed to the shard of rejection that cuts deepest. Being unseen, unheard, and unwanted outside of the roles they've boxed you into. Is your heart a strong oak, roots dug deep into the earth? Or is it a sapling tossed and bent by every misguided expectation? When the storm comes, will you splinter, or will you weather it without flinching? The world promises respect when you soften, but delivers only dismissive nods or cold shoulders. They don't see the years of fighting inside you, the nights spent wrestling with silence, the endless grind of proving your worth to faces that don't care. Look at yourself. The man who's been told to be tender but isn't given credit for the steel it took just to survive being tender in the first place. Can you reclaim the self that voraciously fought for respect? The one who knows that loyalty isn't a weakness, but a fortress, if you build it on rock and not on shifting sands. You hold the key to becoming that man, the one who doesn't bend to society's hollow demands, who doesn't vanish in the shadow of misplaced kindness. You aren't invisible. Not unless you let yourself be. Your worth is carved in silence, forged in trials others never carried. Remember this, loyalty may be quiet, but it is never weak. It is the heartbeat of a wolf, steady and unyielding beneath the endless sky. True power doesn't need to shout. It doesn't punch a wall to prove it's there. It lives deep inside, quiet as a shadow stretched across cold concrete at dawn. You know that raw ache when the world keeps testing you, when rejection hits harder than a storm, when respect feels like a coin tossed too casually in a gutter. It twists something inside, grinding you down. But here's what you haven't been told enough. Strength isn't about chasing storms or roaring louder than the thunder. It's about standing firm, like the oak that's taken every strike of lightning, every vicious wind, and still roots itself deeper. Stoicism is that oak. It's a way of training your mind to see chaos as nothing more than background noise, crashing waves that don't decide your course. The only thing you control is what you build from within. Everything else? Just smoke drifting past a steel cell. I want you to think about a friend I know. Somewhere in the back of your head, you'll see him. A man who stopped running after the approval of others. Years ago, he chased every nod of validation like a shadow hunting the last rays of sun. It wore him out. But then, he laid down that chase. No more frantic reaching for others' fleeting respect. Instead, he carved his own way, grinding out a path through silence and discipline. He didn't need applause anymore. He became that storm-tested oak, untouched by shifting winds of opinion or shifting tides of fortune. What changed? He found clarity in himself and stayed there. The weight of others' judgments no longer dictated his peace. When he stopped bending to the storm, when he stopped needing permission from the world, he unlocked a kind of honor hard to explain but impossible to fake. That kind of strength pulls respect toward you. It doesn't beg for scraps of it. Pain and chaos aren't signs you're weak. They are the hammer shaping your foundation. You're not broken when the storms hit. You're tested. When everything shakes, what will remain? Will you be a reed snapping under pressure? Or will you root down so fiercely silent they cannot reach you? This is the path where a man doesn't seek to impress, but to endure. Clarity isn't loud. It's the steady pulse beneath a restless heart. The wise warrior knows this. The obstacle is the way, Epictetus said, meaning your battle is the path itself. You don't control the wind or the waves, but you control how your roots sink deep and remain unmoved. The storm never honors the screaming wolf. It respects the silent mountain. Remember this. When doubt stalks your mind and pain echoes too loud, you walk through a blaze and do not scorch. You build stillness where chaos thrashes. That is the quiet power no one else can take from you, no matter how hard they howl. It's not about fighting for storms to pass, but about becoming the rock no storm can shift. You hold the reins not through noise, but through the cold steel of your calm. This is your path. This is your mastery. Detachment isn't numbness. It's the steel wall you build when the world tries to burn you down. When pain slams into you like a freight train, detachment lets you step back, not to ignore, but to observe without losing ground. You watch the storm inside, the anger, the doubt, the ache, and you don't grab hold of them. You let them wash past your fortress gates. This kind of freedom is earned in silence, in the moments you choose not to lash out when everything inside screams for it. It's not cold, it's clarity. You become the wolf standing on the ridge, eyes sharp, feeling the wind but never blinded by it. Emotional control isn't about denying your feelings, it's about hosting them without surrender. You don't identify with every surge or crash of emotion. You know they're temporary, passing like ripples on a deep lake. When the current drags others down, you hold the deep, still water. This calm doesn't mean absence of fire. It means you've trained your fire to burn slow and fierce, not wild and reckless. You don't react, you respond. Because real strength doesn't shout. It waits. It watches with precision. You've walked through hell and never raised your voice. That's emotional armor no one can pierce. Mission first. This isn't a mantra. It's the grinding pivot of your life. Your mission is your anchor in every tempest, the unbreakable law you return to morning after morning when nothing else remains. When rejection tries to rewrite your worth, when darkness whispers your name, you don't bend. The mission shapes your skeleton, hardening it into something the world can't tear apart. There's no halfway. You either build that mission every day, or you get lost to the noise and distraction. Commit fully. Let your purpose be the iron in your blood, burning away weakness until all that remains is raw, unshakable drive. Surround yourself with warriors of honor, men who don't just talk about strength, but live it in sweat and scars. Brotherhood isn't a convenience or a fleeting feeling, it's sharp, like forged steel locked in a grindstone of challenge and respect. Iron sharpens iron, yes, but it also exposes weaknesses to be hammered out and reforged stronger. This tribe isn't for comfort, it's for accountability. When you falter, they call you back, interrupting the lies you tell yourself. Their strength reflects in yours because they demand your best, not your excuses. This is a code you live by, unshaken by the world's fickle winds. Discipline is the relentless sculptor, unforgiving and precise. It's the weight you carry before sunrise, the refusal to quit when your mind screams for ease. Discipline chooses discomfort over indulgence. It's the grinding daily edge that carves presence out of chaos. Presence doesn't shout louder than the world's noise. It stands solid, unmovable, undeniable. People don't respect the man who demands it. They respond to the man whose quiet existence fills the room with gravity. Discipline makes your identity immovable. Without it, you're just a shadow blowing in the wind. But with it, you are the storm's calm eye, the mountain that stands tall while others fall to their knees. Today, you stand at the edge of what you once thought was your limit and take a step beyond it. No longer do you beg for the approval that once chained your spirit to hollow shadows. No longer are you the man who bends beneath the weight of other people's expectations, who lives in the static noise of their fleeting judgments. You are no longer captive to a world that tried to steal your quiet dignity. You are a force awakened, a storm forged by loss, betrayal, and silence, tempered, steady, and unbreakable. You move through the aftermath not just as a survivor, but as a sovereign of your own domain, sharper than steel, colder than winter's frost, and resilient as the oldest wolves that walk alone across the tundra. When the world lays eyes on you now, it sees a man reborn from hard-earned clarity, a man who owns every inch of the ground he claims, not because he demands it, but because he no longer needs to fight for it. You carry the weight of your trials differently now, with a calm so profound it disrupts the chaos around you without a word. In the stillness of that presence, you command respect, not with noise, but with the authority of someone who has walked through fire and come out silent, whole, and in control. You're done playing the game of validation. You've stepped off the battlefield of approval, and in that choice lies your true power. This is your moment to rise, not as a reaction to the past, but as the man who shapes his future by the discipline of his own code. Let the echoes of this transformation linger like distant thunder rolling across the mountains, deep, unshakable, and inevitable. If you feel the weight of this truth settling into your bones, then say it loud inside yourself. I rise beyond. In the space between words, I find my strength. I lead in silence.